Now, Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. Here's the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
All right, and here we go. We are off and running for another edition of Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. We're at the Tipsy Steer and High Pines in Roseville. Hello, everybody. We got a nice crowd here, all wearing maroon and gold after the week off last week, coming off of that great win against the Purdue Boilermakers, a road win in the Big Ten. You'll take that every week and then head off into the next week. And it's Nebraska coming to town this week. So much to talk about. We'll get to as many topics as we can with the head coach. Guardsy, good to see you. Justin Guard with us.
It's good to be back, man. I missed everybody last week.
Yeah, me too. I wonder if anyone came and then forgot that there was no show. I was hoping that nobody did that, but a great crowd today. Coach, good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
How was your bye week? Let's start with that because we have so much to talk about, but what did head coach PJ Fleck do during the week off? I'm guessing it wasn't a week off.
Just hung around,
just
put your feet
watch
up.
movies,
Yeah,
Netflix binge a few shows. Yeah.
No, we went out recruiting. We had a really good week of practice, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the coaches went out Thursday through Sunday. And be able to watch some high school games. A lot of guys that were committed to us. We got a chance to be out there and hit a lot of states over a few amount of days and got the recruiting kind of checked off for that week. But, I thought our players really practiced hard last week and recruiting was going to be one of the main focal points of that weekend. And then we were back at it Sunday night with practice and then the day off for the players on Monday and game planning Nebraska. And then today's practice went really well. So that's where we're at.
You also spent time back in Indiana with Trey, right? Because he's obviously, you mentioned, stayed there for a while. What was, the genesis behind that trip? What was that like, for a tough week for him?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head when you talk about a tough week. It's so hard. You're a head football coach, you're all these things, but you're still a parent, and you're a parent to these guys. And anytime a player gets injured, it's not good for you, for them. I mean, you feel for them, but when you have an injury that Trey has, and I won't talk about the specifics of it, I always leave that up to players. I've never talked about injuries, what they have and the specifics of it. I leave that up to the individual for their privacy, and if they want to share it, they can share it, but that's not up for me to be able to do. But when they do get hurt and it is of that magnitude, you immediately go into parent mode, and that's the parent's worst nightmare. So to be able to go through that situation and know he's going to be okay, that's the main focus. And we're all relieved of that. I'm sure he appreciated all the prayers and thoughts that all of you were sending his way and his family. But when we got done with the game, that's when I found out technically like that it was really serious and that he'd already been gone to the hospital. I found out on the last drive that it was serious, but you don't know what it is. He's been pulled. He's not playing, and then they come back and say it's really serious, and then you know that, but you don't know what it is. And then you get off the field, and then you finally know what it is. And Mark Coyle was absolutely amazing, our athletic director. I mean, he stayed back with Trey. Him and I discussed who goes back, who stays, who needs to be with the team, who needs to be with Trey. Our administration flew Trey's family out immediately. And not only that, our doctors, Dr. Jewison and Mike Sipniak, our trainer, were just unbelievable. And you never know how good your trainers and medical staff are. I do, because I get to work with them every day. But the parents of our players, and maybe you as a fans, don't know how good we have it until something really horrific happens. And we're very blessed and very thankful that we have the best people, I think, in the country in our medicine department, and they take care of our players first, period. Whether we win or lose, whether they have 800 yards rushing or 0, they're going to take care of our players. So kind of just hit a lot of areas, I'm sure, on the Trey Potts thing, but he's doing great. He's back in Minneapolis. His family's back here with him, and he'll be back with the team here soon. Not going to play the rest of the year, just so everybody knows he's done for the year. But we got a lot of backs, in case you're wondering that, in the football side. But more importantly, I think that, we just need to be grateful that he's okay and appreciate all the thoughts and prayers.
You mentioned kind of learning as you went. On the last drive, you're trying to stop Purdue to win the game. You get word that it's something serious, but also then after the game, you learn that it's really serious. So as a human, what's that conflict of emotions like, where you find out first you're still trying to coach the game? There's guys on the field doing that, but you also know one of your guys is potentially in trouble. How do you kind of get through those conflicting emotions?
Well, a lot of times what happens is if it's really serious and it's on the field, the game stops, everybody knows what's going on. Right. There's a diagnosis, everybody knows something, right? You don't know. I got told the first time that, hey, Trey's out. That's typical procedure. Our trainers in medicine, pull people out. I'm not really in charge of all of that at all. So they come out and say, hey, Trey's out. Then they come back and say, Trey's in the tent. And then they come back and say, hey, Trey's, it's really serious, and he's leaving, and like, okay, and that was in the last drive. So, right. But he's in really good hands. I mean, what you do is you got to focus on the game. You got to focus on your players. You got to focus on everybody else. And you have a lot of trust and faith in your medical people, right? And he's in better arms and better care than if he was with me. So you trust the people to be able to do their jobs, and they did it perfectly. I mean, absolutely perfectly. And we're just glad he's okay.
Yeah, and as Guards, you mentioned along those lines, so now the game's over. You've got the win. Every coach has to enjoy a win because they're hard to get, especially on the road. And then how do you, balance that act in terms of trying to enjoy the win, but then also trying to keep tabs on one of your players who is now being taken to the hospital?
Yeah, for anybody who knows who runs their own company or has things like that, you got to wear a lot of hats throughout the day, and you got to put on a face for certain things, and no matter what's going on, and you make it as fast as possible. I mean, that was a real fast locker room celebration, and boom, I was right outside getting information on Trey about what was going to be able to be the next steps. And again, our administration sprung into action, did all the right things. That's what I love about our administration. They do the right things. They immediately got on the phone with his parents, immediately found him flights to get out here to be with their son. It's unfortunate it had to happen, but it's part of our game, unfortunately. And, we've kind of been hit with that a little bit this year, just with some, if you would have told me that by the 5th game, Muhammad and Trey would be out for the rest of the year, I wouldn't want that, nor would I want that predicted. But we have a lot of young guys who are going to be able to play a lot of football for us. I mean, this Bucky Irving is a special player, and he's a true freshman. You guys are going to love the way this kid plays. And Kai Thomas the same way, freshman from Topeka, Kansas. So we've got, and Cam Wiley, he's played some football for us, and Bryce Williams, and obviously Cole Kramer and the Wildcat stuff. But you never want to get to those things, but it makes it a little more difficult, yes. But it makes it, even more exciting because you get to reach into your depth and see what you got.
And one last question on that, and I don't know if maybe JG will have some follow-up, but I think it's worth noting. You mentioned the administration. We didn't really know what was going on. We traveled with the team, the radio crew, but I knew something was up when to see the look on Mark Coyle's face and the concern he had, and he was on the phone, and I'm sure he's talking to different people, and he's outside the buses that we ride on. I would reiterate what you said, and just that this athletic department's in good hands, watching how he handled that situation, the care, the concern, the organization that he went about making sure that things were going to unfold the right way.
I mean, Dr. David Jewison stayed with him in the hospital the whole time. Mike Sipniak, our trainer, stayed in the hospital away from his own family for 4 days. Mark Coyle was there days. And then I went back on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday of that, after the weekend. And so Heather and I went out there to fly out to see him. Went out to Indianapolis because he rotated hospitals, or he went to different hospitals. So the people at Purdue were unbelievable as well. Like, you have to know that as a fan base, is that the medical team at Purdue were unreal, and then IU Methodist were incredible as well. So just amazing people, and he got the right support, got the right medical team, and again, I'll keep reiterating, thank goodness he's okay. He's a tremendous football player, but these kids are people. I mean, these are kids, right? And they're playing a game and having a lot of fun doing it, but it's unfortunate that it is part of our game, and you got to go through some things like that, and I hope never have to go through that one again.
You mentioned the football side of it that you've got now. You're right with the air, I suppose, and the parent aspirant and air that you talked about this summer. But with the two freshmen,
it sounded really good, didn't it?
It was a great line.
Man, it was a great line.
It was too prophetic. Yeah,
I took Coach Mason's line, and just said, all right, I got his line. We're going to add to it a little bit.
Well, now we'll see if you're right. Because he said we've got the air.
We do have air.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But you can't. It's air for a reason, right? But it is air to fill those tires back up, and. We do have depth, and I think everybody's going to be really excited about the depth we have. I think that's what you're all going to see, is that this is what we talked about, the recruiting benefits paying off, is that you do have depth. There's a reason why Mohammed's an All-American, right? I mean, we don't get many All-Americans that return for their next year. They usually move on, and it's not very often that you get that back. And in the first half of the season, you lose them, and then you lose Trey. But now you got the young guys ready to roll, and I'm excited to watch them play.
And how do you approach it with them? Because they know it's a big opportunity for them now, probably one that they weren't necessarily expecting. So you want to get them ready as you go. It's not like they're just being thrown in, and you've been working with them, since the summer, in some cases since January. So how do you prepare them for a much bigger opportunity and role?
Well, we prepare them all the way through the year. I mean, I think open dialogue is the way to be able to prepare them, is knowing that you are going to be thrown in the fire at some point. It's not if, it's when. And constantly in practice, constantly in training camp and scrimmages, giving them the ability to run behind the 1-0 line, giving them the ability to be in high-pressure situations, and give that early, whether it happens or not, they're prepared for it. And hopefully those things pay off for these guys that we've been doing over the last year with them to be able to prepare them for the moment they're going to be in here on Saturday against Nebraska.
You've commented a lot about those Sunday, I guess they'd be mini scrimmages. How important now was that time for these guys now that are going to get a shot in a real game?
It's critical. I mean, that's where you develop your youth of your program, and this is part of the youth of our program. And we've got some guys in some really, really key positions that are pretty youthful, which is really good. And they can make plays now. That's the good thing about them. But that Sunday night football that we have is really beneficial for the development of the guys. And these are all the guys that were playing in them in the backfield. They were playing on Sunday night football and have done really well during that time.
And as you have the four running backs, the offensive line obviously is a key part of opening holes. And how comforting is it to know that you've got some guys that have been run blocking now for a number of years, have run blocked enough to have a Big Ten running back of the year and a first-team All-Big Tenner and a couple of guys in the NFL to have that group with some young guys behind?
Yeah, I think that's critical. I think, we talked at the beginning of the year, our O-line's going to make the offense go, and period. And we're really good. Our offense is moving the football for us, and that's not going to change. And we're going to continue to run the football. We know we got to get the ball down the field. We know that as we keep going forward, as we keep developing our wide receiving crew. And, but the O-line's really experienced. They're one of the strengths of our team, and they've got to continue to get better as the days go on. And that's what we challenge every one of our players, is to change your best every day and get better. And they have been doing that, which is good to see.
All right, it's our first segment. We are finished with that. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk Gopher football. We've got a lot to talk about. Stick with us. We want to thank Sunbelt Business Advisors. They should be on your team roster if you're buying or selling a business, and there's never been a better time to sell than right now. Get your Sunbelt no-cost confidential business valuation today. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. And again, our thanks to Sunbelt Business Advisors. They have their table right here and a great supporter of Gopher football. This is Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield. Welcome back. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck, Mike Grimm, and Justin Gard with the head coach here. We're at the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. They are open every day starting at 4. Friday, Saturday, they have lunch, and a great spot. We're thrilled that they're supporting us here and that we can come out. They are open for lunch on Tuesdays only, as long as the head coach is here, and he's here now from noon until 1. All right, let's talk some more football here as we continue to look back and look ahead both. A couple of follow-ups on the bye week. We kind of started down that path in the first segment. You mentioned recruiting, and I'm interested. You said you went to several of the games or visited several of the kids who are already committed. Take us through that process of once a kid commits, how you have to keep recruiting him, and then also still going out to continue to fill out the recruiting class with prospective student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is it's always evolving, always changing. It's constant, right? The number one thing that's constant in college football, we have 12 to 14 games in season, but recruiting is every single day, and not only just high school student athletes with the portal and the things that are going on with that, with the transfers and things like that. It makes it an all-day type event every single day. So you've got to be crossing your T's, dotting your I's all the time in it. And our recruiting department does an amazing job. Steered up by Garrett Chernoff, our GM, and the job he does. But, yeah, we got a chance to go down and see a lot of players. And once they commit, that's when the recruiting really starts. We have a saying in our profession is not until a kid actually commits is when the real recruiting starts, because that's when, so many guys flip and decommit and go to different places and look at your season and see how you did and how's this, how's that, how many backs you're taking, how many people you're taking. Oh, this guy's coming back, and these are kids. These are 15 to 16-year-old kids, right, that you're recruiting. And, with the way our world is with instant information, and they can have every information. They could be, these kids can have agents as you continue to go forward. So you've got to make sure that you're getting the right people, and we're not perfect, never are, but we do everything we can to see them. We can't really talk to them now or see them, but we can go to high school games right now live. We just can't talk to them in person. We can talk to them on the phone. We can text, have all those conversations, but we just can't be able to see them in person and have a conversation. But we can go to their high school games, and that's what we did this past weekend. and saw a lot of really good high school football.
So theoretically, you could be at a high school stadium. A commit could have a cell phone down on the field. You could have one in the stands, and you could talk to him there. Or does that count for an in-person visit? That's a hell of a hypothetical.
That's getting really gray right
Ooh,
there.
that's gray. I just want to know.
Gart is pushing the envelope.
I'm just curious.
No, you can't do that.
Okay, that's good. That's good clarification.
Yeah.
Not that you would want to, but I was curious about it. So how different is it this year with kind of the unknown of even who's coming back on your own team? Because this whole year has been weird with eligibility stuff and scholarships this year that count last year. This is an uncertain year in general, right, when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is I don't know, which is not the answer everybody wants to hear. I don't want to hear that, but I don't know. You don't know how many true numbers you're going to have in recruiting. You have no idea right now. So we used to be able to say, okay, we're going to have 22 open scholarships. Well, we don't know that now because you have guys that not only came back for another year, but still have a backboard, meaning they have another year. They can still come back one more time if they want. Not only that, you got guys leaving early in the program, and not only that, you have guys that are going to transfer from your program. People that transfer from the program is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe like 10 years it used to be, 10 years ago. You're going to have a flood of high school or college players going into the portal. It's kind of like if any of you bought a new car. They always tell you don't buy the first year of the new make and model, because they have to work the kinks out. That was like last year's transfer portal. Everybody was really excited. Everybody transferred all over the place. When you get to the second year of it, everybody now knows what the advantages are, what the good things are, what the hard things are, all those other things. So I even think you're going to see even a bigger influx of people entering the transfer portal market this year compared to last year. I don't know from our program who's going to enter that. I don't know who's going to come back yet. I don't know who's going to leave early for the NFL. I don't know that yet. So we have 13 total commitments, I think it is right now, and I feel really good about that number, period, of high school student athletes coming into our program. I don't know if we'll get to 25. I don't know how many transfers I'll take, right? We don't know that yet. So we'll know that as the season ends and we kind of get closer to the end of the season and have conversations with a lot of our players, and then we'll make those decisions accordingly.
And you probably don't know of guys that still have extra years who want to come back, who might want to move on with life, and that's a factor too, right, in terms of guys currently on the roster.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, that happens as well. I mean, not everybody plays in college football all 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. Not everybody goes to the NFL. Some people stop and end their career. And you don't like you don't know what's going to happen with Trey Potts. We don't know that. So we don't know if that's a number you get back. We don't know if he comes back and plays. Those are questions that are just unknown right now. But I feel good about where we are with the recruiting number we have. And I've already had those conversations with our players, and I have an idea who's coming back and who's not, but it's not concrete yet.
With the transfer portal, you have always said that you want a program based on getting high school kids in here, understanding what you expect from them, building that culture around them, and moving on. Has that changed a little now with the rules changing in terms of the portal, or do you still think you foresee that that's how you'll run this program?
Well, I think you always have to change with the times. I mean, if you're not changing, you're not growing, right? And I always like those people that say, like, that person changed. Aren't we all supposed to change? Right? Or that program's changing. It is, right? It always should be changing. Just like companies, business, programs, change is inevitable, and you better be ahead of the curve, and you better know and embrace the change that's coming. A lot of us have had that conversation about the NIL, of how that's going to change college football. That's changing. That's a major part of recruiting right now. But even though we can't make the actual, the connections with all of that, we have to be able to have those conversations with those players about the opportunities that could arise here at the University of Minnesota with the NIL in terms of the pay for play and having people have their own endorsements and their name, image, and likeness. That's a massive part of recruiting. As you can look around the landscape, people are signing $1 million contracts out of high school with companies before they even get to that college. So it's constantly evolving. So yes, to say that I'm going to say we're going to take all 25 high school kids, I don't think that's the case anymore. Do I think we're going to have a whole class full of transfers? No. But we will maybe add a little bit more than maybe we did in the past. Mm-hmm. But we're still going to keep our high school developmental program beliefs. That will never change in terms of what I believe, unless you then have to start drafting high school players eventually. I have no idea what that will look like. But I like where we're at. I like where we're at. I just know that there's more change coming and more things with people staying that are going to surprise you. People that'll leave will surprise you. And then there's that constant that will possibly come back as well.
Well, defensively, the portal's been very good to you this year, right? I mean, think about Niles, I think about Val, I think about Jack. Those three in particular are playing huge roles for you this year, and your defense is continuing to get better.
Yeah, Dalen Wright, when our wide receiving core has been banged up a little bit here and there, and unfortunately with Dalen's brother passing, and he was back and missed last game, and, he's back with our team now, so there's another tragedy our players are dealing with. So it's one after another. It just seems to never change, but when you're dealing with young people that have, lives like all of us, and you have 130 of them, you're bound to have certain things happen every single week, and you got to row through it, and you got to handle that adversity. But the transfer portal has been good to us, and if we're going to dabble in it, we got to make sure it's good to us, and that we have to vet every single player. You're never going to be perfect, but we hit on a lot of the transfers we took, and we have to continue to hit on a lot of the transfers we take. And if you're going to take a small number, you got to aim small and miss small, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
A couple more follow-ups on bye week. I think people would be interested in the self-scout that you guys did. You talked about it yesterday during your news conference, that the offensive coaches scouted your defense and how they might prepare if they were to play that in a game, and then vice versa, the defense did the offense. Take us through those couple of days, and obviously you're not going to give away any top secrets, but what maybe on the surface did you find out about each other?
Yeah, a lot of people always ask me, what do you do during the week? I think people just think we show up on game day, right? Just call some plays. How the week actually works, you play on Saturday. We don't have anything after Saturday's game, right? Everybody can go home and either enjoy or soak in your misery, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want there. But Sunday, we come in around noon, and then we have, with our players, we have a staff meeting, and then we get into, players have massages and things like that, and they have a big recovery circuit they go through. And then we have meetings with our players, team meeting, OD meetings, and then position meetings, and then special teams as well. And then we get into a practice on Sunday night. If you played in the game, you don't practice very much. We do a little bit of indie, kind of a flush type workout. But then we also get into our Sunday scrimmage. Monday's the players' day off. They do not come in on Mondays. Coaches game plan the next opponent all day Monday. So from 6 in the morning all the way to midnight, we're in there game planning that opponent for first and second down. That's what's done on Monday. Tuesday, we practice in the morning, so our players are always done by noon, and they're in class from noon to whenever with their tutors and learning specialists all through the week. But Tuesday's first and second down practice. And then Tuesday afternoon, coaches game plan, third down, and then third down is done on Wednesday. So we practice on Wednesday for third down, and then Wednesday afternoon, we do our green zone, our 2-minute, our short yardage goal line, backed up, coming out, all those other special situations. And then we have a walkthrough on Thursday, and then we have our actual practice, which is about 25 minutes long, which is really fast, called Fast Friday, on Friday morning. Then we either go on the road trip, or we're able to have our home game and go to our hotel in Edina on Friday night. So that's how the work week goes. For an actual bye week, what we do is our offense game plans our defense on that Monday of that game week. We always put the game to bed, then Monday we game plan each other, meaning our offense will actually game plan all day our defense, and then our defense will game plan our offense. We'll break down every single person, not what we know of them personally, but what we watch on film. So we would attack this person. This person gives this away. This is this tendency. And then the Tuesday of bye week, we self-scout ourselves. So offense self-scouts the offense, defense self-scouts the defense. And then by Wednesday of that week, we're into the opponent. So we've been on Nebraska since last Wednesday and really game planning them ever since. So that's how the bye week works, and then we go out recruiting.
You said you guys kind of had some fun scouting each other, the offensive coaches and defensive coaches?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, you don't get a chance to do that very often. You get to do it in spring ball. That's the last time we were able to truly do it, and a little bit of training camp, but truly scout the first 5 games and truly break it down over what our tendencies are, maybe some things on offense we're not seeing, but our defense sees, how our defense would exploit us, how our offense would exploit the defense, special teams. We've got some volunteers in there that help us with the special teams and game plan them as well. But it's a time to reflect on where you've been so you can know those tendencies that the opponents are seeing and do everything you can to make it not as routine or not make it as a tendency, and do a lot of tendency breakers if you can.
Last one on the bye week for me, and that's you mentioned that you've never had a poorly timed bye week. Whenever it happens, it happens. Is that especially maybe true this year, and how much rest and recuperation was doable here with this one, and how much was it needed?
Yeah, I think you should have 3 bye weeks, and the head coach gets to pick when you get those. weeks. Yeah. And I think that's how the season should be, and extended a little bit. But I've never seen a bye week come at a bad time. We needed it. We definitely needed it this week. But, you could use a bye week after every single week if you wanted. But I think perfect timing from where we were, especially dealing with Trey and what was going on with him. I think it came at a really, really good time for us to be able to focus on what was really important too. Football aside, focus on him, focus on our team, focus on their health, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and get them right and get them ready for this week.
All right, sounds good. We'll take a break. We'll look ahead. It's Nebraska and Minnesota at Huntington Bank Stadium on Saturday. It's an 11 o'clock kick. We will take air here on the network at 9 a.m. Sunbelt Business Advisors is our sponsor. You can visit them at sunbeltminnesota.com. This is Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck, we're from the Tipsy Steer and High Pines in Roseville. Our show is also sponsored by the U of M Bookstore. You can visit the University of Minnesota Bookstore and discover the area's largest selection of U of M and Golden Gopher apparel and novelties for fans of all ages. From the latest fashions to traditional favorites, it's the University of Minnesota Bookstore, your one-stop shop. You can also visit online at bookstores.umn.edu. We also are raising some money for the Masonic Children's Hospital. Our friend Carly Zucker's here. And Coach, tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing. I know you have a sheet of paper here with a bunch of info.
Yeah, Row the Boat is teamed up with All True. In case you didn't know, Jason Zucker is a part of the All True brand. And what it basically does is it raises money for the Children's Hospital, right? And that's what Row the Boat does. Everybody knows that. But what All True basically does is everybody kind of buys it's like a ticket, right? And instead of going to like a gala and saying, okay, well, this package is worth $3,000, who's going to give me $4,000 for it? Anybody can put they can put their ticket into this drawing and win what this is. And what it does, it just continues to raise money for Row the Boat, and teamed up with All True, and it's been really good. So this is what the package is, and really excited that Jason and Carly approached us about doing this. And we're all about the Masonic Children's Hospital and all about the University of Minnesota and raising as much money as we can for those children. So this is just another avenue to be able to do it, and it makes it available to everybody else, that they don't have to go to a gala or go to a big auction or a big event to do it. Everybody can do it from their phone, and everybody can be a part of it and see if they can to win what it is. So I think that's really fun. So sideline passes to the Wisconsin game, 2 tickets to the game versus Wisconsin, $1,000 spending cash, and then you get mentored by me for 6 months.
Whoa.
What does that look like?
You get to ask Heather.
What is that worth? Is a better question, yeah.
2-night hotel and then sign Row the Boat merchandise. So it's a pretty good package. And we can actually do whatever you want for 6 months, actually. So you could probably mentor me. I'll listen to you. You could tell me what to do.
Well, we have some yard work around the house, maybe.
I'm a great worker around the house.
Work.
I don't know. You got to ask Heather about that, too. I'm about ready to say I'm a great worker around the house. I'm never even home. I've got to be a great worker around the house.
That's pretty good. Is there info or a webpage or something people can go get info?
Alltrue.com, Grimmer.
Thank you.
Alltrue.com. True, by the way, is TROO.
Really?
Yeah, so there you go.
There you go. All right.
Very easy
so
to find it.
So people can jump in there and raise some money and maybe be a big winner and hang out with PJ Fleck for 6 months.
I got to make sure this is. I don't know if you want to hang out with
breakfast, lunch, dinner,
every day for 8 hours.
Cool.
Every day. Come on, hang out.
All of it.
Get a headset.
That's pretty good. JG, what else you got?
We didn't get to talk much about Mark Crawford's day at Purdue. We talked offense, we talked defense. His best game as a Gopher, I think.
He was tremendous.
Purdue's average starting position was, I think, their own 18-yard line. I thought like Australia was like I didn't think of it as like this rainy place, but did he grow up in like a rainforest type situation? Because that was a tough day to punt. He was unbelievable. We've never seen him punt like that. So what got into Mark Crawford?
Well, we actually have the fire department now have hoses pointed into into Huntington Bank Stadium to just kind of just make it feel like it's always raining. He was tremendous. I thought our kicking game was unreal. That's what we need. You can clap it up for our kicking game. Listen, you don't like the kicking game when it doesn't do well, so clap when it does do well, because that's you got to celebrate those moments. You never know, especially with kicking game. But I'm very proud of Coach Wanger and the consistency we got the other day, and we needed it. Whoever was going to win the special teams in that game was going to win, and we were able to flip the field so many times. We got short fields on offense, we got long fields on defense, and we were able to make a play. Now that saying "bend don't break," I'm not a big believer in that. I'd rather just shut people out all the time and be 3 and out. That's the expectation. But there are times you play against really good people. And they were able to find ways to make plays and make them have a low amount of explosive plays. We're talking about one of the better offenses in the country, and not be able to have the amount of explosive plays they had for the 4 games prior to us was a huge feat for us.
And you mentioned they're flipping the field, because early in the year I thought, Mark and Phil Howard have this kind of punt and catch thing going, which is great. You pin them at the 3 or the 2 or the 1. But flipping the field maybe hasn't been as often as you wanted, and he flipped it at least 3 times, it seemed, at Purdue. I think that's one of those hidden yardage things that you watch on TV and maybe you're not paying that close of attention, but it's a huge impact on the game.
Yeah, our special teams won us the game. It's simple. And then having, Matthew Trickett make the field goals he did from the distances they were in the conditions that were there. They were 2 for 3 at field goals. We were 2 of 2. That was the biggest difference. And then the flipping of the field position with the punt and punt return game was absolutely critical. So he had a tremendous game. And one thing I love about him, he's like 30 years old, everybody. I mean, he's a 30-year-old sophomore. He's going to be around a while. He's not 30. I think he's 27.
Yeah, I think that's 26 or
27.
Tanner's a couple months older than him, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, Tanner's married now. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, my team is like a bunch of adults. Yeah. It's amazing, like with adult things going on. I don't know. I have to check with my wife.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? No, I'm just kidding. Tanner did get engaged, though, just so everybody knows. Tanner Morgan did get engaged over the weekend. So one lady clapped. We had one woman clap.
Yeah, the poor guy. The men aren't interested. Yeah.
I love it.
Look at that. Good. Right? Well, that is cool, though. Tanner's had, what a year he has had, just from a life, emotional standpoint. So, this is another life moment for him.
It is another life moment for him, and he's growing up fast and has to deal with a lot of things that most young people don't have to deal with, and some things out of his control, some things now with his control. So I hope that takes a lot off of his plate, and I said it should. I said, you just say yes from now on. You just say, yes, ma'am. And she wants this color tablecloth. It doesn't matter what tablecloth you want. You just say, yep, looks good. That's the best advice I can give him.
That's good advice.
I've done it twice, so I'm experienced. So I love marriage so much, I've done it twice.
That's right.
That's what I always tell people.
All right, well, let's take
somebody just went, he's been divorced now.
How about that? Jeez. All right, we'll take
failure is growth.
Yeah, failure is growth. There you go.
Yeah, failing is growth. Failure is quit.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
See, Guardsy needs the 6 months.
I'm
going to bid during the break.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take our final break. We have our final segment. We'll look at the Cornhuskers. They're coming to town Saturday, 11 o'clock. The kick will take air at 9. And our thanks again to Sunbelt Business Advisors. Go to sunbeltminnesota.com. It's Gopher Football Weekly with P.J. Fleck from Learfield. Weekly with P.J. Fleck, Mike Grimm, and Justin Gard with you here on the Gopher Radio Network. Minnesota and Nebraska this weekend at Huntington Bank Stadium, 11 o'clock the kick. We take air here at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. We want to put one final thank you into Sunbelt Business Advisors. They should be on your team roster if you're buying or selling a business, and there's never been a better time to sell than right now. You can get your Sunbelt no-cost confidential business valuation today. Go to sunbeltminnesota.com. Our thanks also to Tio Porto. He's our producer. Dan Robotham on-site, our engineer. Paul Rovnak in charge of communications. And JG is next with questions.
We got Nebraska this weekend. We've talked a lot about Nebraska.
Sorry, I was clapping for Paul.
That was a very lukewarm response to Paul Rovnak.
But everybody just started claiming no.
He got a better response than a guy getting married.
I know. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Nebraska, we talk a lot about their offense. Defensively, they seem improved this year. What have you seen as you've taken a look? They've held, until this last week, most opponents into like 23 points or fewer. So what have you seen from that side of the ball?
Well, they got everybody back. I mean, they're really, really good. I mean, the same guys have been playing for 2 years or, 2 years older, and they're really talented. They're really big, strong, long, physical. They've held a lot of really good offenses to a low amount of points. They fly around to the football. They're very aggressive. And then the offensive side of the ball, you all know this, but Adrian Martinez makes the whole thing go. I mean, he's really talented. He's gotten a lot better. They're running a version of the triple option. They've kind of added that into their arsenal. So that makes it very difficult on the defense. Not only do you have to defend the draws and the screens and the run game, the normal run game, plus the downfield passing game, you also have to defend a triple option component to that. And you kind of think of like when we played Georgia Southern, but then think of like all-star, four-star athletes on the field as well. So they make it very challenging and very difficult. Kicking games, playing really well. They're holding people to a low number of total points, and they're playing at a high level. They've lost 4 games in a matter of 1 possession, and they've played 4 top 10 teams or 3 top 10 teams. So they They're very talented, very good football team coming in here. And like any week, though, we've got to play our best football. And we haven't done that up to this point yet, and we need to be able to do that soon.
When you have an offense like that you mentioned that might have an extra little dynamic, it's just not one-dimensional, so to speak, does having a couple extra days on a bye week help to try to throw everything you can at the defense to get ready for them?
Yeah, like I said before, there's no bad time to have a bye week, and you'll never turn down a bye week for those particular reasons. You can always get a jump start on the opponent, and no matter who it is, but it just makes it a lot better when you do have a component like the option game that they have, because it does change a lot of the things you do defensively. So Joe Rossi's done a great job for the last few weeks of game planning them, but we never really got onto them until about Wednesday of last week as it was, but our guys done a really good job.
If I remember right, when he played Georgia Tech, he brought the never leave your wingman deal to the triple option. Has he brought that speech back? Can we expect that? Should I ask him that on Thursday?
Yeah, you can ask him that. He hasn't said that yet. He might be waiting.
He was very proud of the wingman leading into the quick lane bowl, and it worked.
The problem is nobody knows what Top Gun is. The kids that we coach, they have no idea what Top Gun is.
No idea.
No, even Carter Coughlin did. I mean, you imagine people now, they look at you like you have six heads when you talk about Top Gun. They have Top Gun 2 out.
Yeah.
But it's not even out yet.
That's your wheelhouse, Grimmer.
Oh, that's right in my
Top
wheelhouse,
Gun.
no doubt.
Yeah,
absolutely. I still have the DVD.
Offensively, passing game, you talked about it. People want, you've had some, Crab's been out, Dalen's been out, Daniel's been kind of in and out. So as you move forward, what do you still hope to see from that side of it? You took as many deep shots as you've taken all season long against Purdue. Tanner, I think, said we hit about half of them. Obviously, you hit 3 of them and you scored on all 3 of those drives. So how do you hope that it gets further developed?
Yeah, we got to take advantage when the opportunities present themselves, and you got to be patient, and you got to with where we are in the pass game right now, it is what it is, and there's reasons why we do what we do, when we do it, and how we do it, and whether people agree or disagree with that, there's reasons for all of that, but we have to be way more efficient, and that's what I want to be able to see is the efficient execution of the offense, and as we keep going forward, and if that means we got to throw it 45 times a game, then we'll throw it 45 times a game. If it means we're going to throw it 4 times, we'll throw it 4 times. We got to do what we have to do to win the football game and play complementary football. And I think that's what everybody has to look at. You don't just play offense and run your offense and then run your defense and run special teams. They're all connected. And we have to play complementary football. And the win at Purdue was complementary football. Whether people liked it or didn't like it, it won the football game, and it was complimentary. And we have to continue to do that with the personnel that we have on offense and the things that the things that are outside of our control that are happening. And when that happens, then you've got to be able to respond. There's 2 things, right? People can react to a situation or they can respond to a situation. If you react to a situation, you let the external situations affect you, or the external affect you. And it's just a knee-jerk reaction. When you respond, you know all the information internally, and you respond appropriately, and you act on that based on the information and the true data that's there. And if there's a big difference between those 2 things, and we're going to continue to respond and continue to take this football team each week to hopefully a 1-0 week and get better and grow and learn from everything that we're going through.
And you mentioned that Nebraska kind of has an option look to it now at times, and then talking about your offense, that you'll do what you have to do and play complementary. Cole Kramer has become the guy now kind of running the Wildcat. It was Trey before that, and then kind of talk about how that has emerged and where you came about thinking that Cole Kramer would be the guy for that, because he's had the long touchdown and has been a pretty effective package.
Yeah, I've always liked the Wildcat package, just to have in your system. I think it's really beneficial for a lot of short yardage goal line situations. You've got to be able to be versatile in it, and you got to have multiple people that can do it. If you remember the start of the year, we had Mohammed back there with Trey, and then we had Trey doing it. Now we don't have Trey either, so you've got to find ways to be able to keep running your offense that way. And I think Cole Kramer's given us the ability to have a true quarterback back there, which always gives you the threat of a pass game. And we got to keep evolving it and continue to expand it as we keep going forward. But we need consistency. Right now, personnel-wise, the consistency of our offense isn't there, personnel-wise. And you think back to 2019 for the most part, Tyler was at X and Bateman was at Z and Crab was at F, and we'd rotate them all, and you knew those were going to be your guys every single week. And right now we have not had the traction of personnel, whether it was Mo or Trey or Crab or Daniel. We haven't had that. So it's very difficult to form that type of camaraderie, and it's happened on different days. It hasn't, we knew that some guys are going to be out, but sometimes it happens during the week, and then you've got to be able to, plug people in that maybe some things they haven't practiced, but we're working on that. But the Cole Kramer's added a different dimension. I think he's only going to get better at it as he keeps going.
You talked about things out of your control happening. You had a player enter the transfer portal today, Curtis Dunlap. One, do you have a comment on that? And two, what does that change, if anything, moving forward?
Well, like I said, the transfer portal, that's going to happen. Everybody's got to realize that. I mean, transfer portal is going to happen. It happens all over college football, happens everywhere, and it happens in masses, and it's going to continue to go that way. But anybody who enters the portal, I stop commenting on them just so everybody knows that that's kind of my policy, and I wish him all the best, and hope his future is really bright.
What does it mean in terms of just next guy in? Rotation up front?
Next guy in. Yep. Right. And we've got a lot of guys at that position that can play and have started games, and they'll have their opportunity.
We got about a minute left. Nebraska to town. We've gotten a little scouting report on it. You and I have talked about this a lot in our pregame shows, but the importance of a home field advantage. I think you see that week in and week out in college football. So how important is it for Gopher fans to be there and be loud?
Well, I think it's every week it's really important, just to be able to support the University of Minnesota and the Golden Gophers, our football program, our student athletes. I think that always is when people are fans and supporters and donors and boosters and alumni. I think that's critical, right? And, got an unbelievable opponent coming in here, and they're playing really well right now, and we've got to be able to play our best football. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Always look forward to game day Saturdays at Huntington Bank, and we'll continue to do that.
All right, very good. Good luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Row the boat, Sky Mile, go Gophers, everybody. Thanks for being here.
There he is, the head coach, PJ Fleck. For Justin Guard, I'm Mike Grimm. We will take air at 9 on Saturday, 11 o'clock to kick off the Gophers and the Huskers. This has been Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.